Welcome to Herbal Expeditions, where we explore all things gardening, herbs, and aromatherapy. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. As you know, this is Herbal Expedition, where we explore all things gardening, herbs, and aromatherapy. My name is Shunda, and I'm your host tonight. Before we dive into things, I'd like to send out a huge thank you to our sponsors, Word on the Streets, for allowing us this opportunity to share with you some tips and tricks that may help you along your journey. Tonight, we're going to take a detour from our usual. Tonight, we dive into the art of tea blending, the significance of celebrations, and how to make your own luxurious rituals for a balanced and joyful life. We will briefly discuss how we celebrate. Then I will share a copycat recipe that I recreated to celebrate a recent success. And finally, I will share some fantastic news that I am excited about. Before we get started, I am going to give you my usual disclaimer. I am not a licensed healthcare professional. Information that you receive here are for educational purposes only, based on my personal experience and training. On this channel, we do not treat, cure, or diagnose. You are strongly encouraged to do your own research on the topics discussed here. As always, you're advised to discuss any new herbal regimen with your doctor, especially if you are pregnant, nursing, or taking any prescription medication. And as usual, we have a quote. And my quote today is, every day in every way, celebrate who you are. And that is exactly what I'm doing tonight. I am celebrating. You know, some of our traditions for celebrating include ceremonies. For example, if there's a christening, a graduation, or a wedding ceremony, or a wedding, we may have a ceremony as a tribute to that particular time. Sometimes we have parties such as a retirement party, or when maybe our kids promote from one grade to another, like from elementary to middle, or middle to high school, or even when they finish college. And then you have the celebrations of birth. We will have baby showers or bridal showers. And then we have those anniversary celebrations. And sometimes these celebrations include gift giving. The common thread in these celebrations are typically food and drink, because what is a celebration without having some food and drink? More often than not, these celebrations include food and sometimes drinks that are good to our taste buds, but not as good to our bodies. Here are a few new ways that I celebrate in my journey of changing my lifestyle. First, I will often prepare a luxurious body massage or bath salts. Then maybe prepare a healthful food and or beverage. I will create an uplifting diffuser blend to really set the tone, because the fragrances and scents that we use have a big impact on the way that we feel. And sometimes it can be helpful if you're using pure and natural essential oils. And then I will set the tone with the right music. There is nothing that does an occasion like music does. And as they say, music soothes the savage beast. Well, tonight I'm celebrating. Uh, For those of you who are new here, you may not know this, but I love me some tea. And Tazo Passion happens to be among my favorites. As I prepared to celebrate, I went to purchase a box of this tea, but it wasn't on the store shelf. So I decided that I wanted to make my own. So first, I'm going to get started by reviewing with you some steps that I took to recreate this tea. First, I researched what ingredients are in the tea and the order that they appeared in. I am going to use my phone and I'm going to read you a list of the ingredients that I found. Not only was I attentive to the ingredients in the list, but I also paid close attention to the order of the ingredients, because typically when you read an ingredient list, they will list the ingredients from those that are the most to the least. So on that box of tea, I found that there were hibiscus flowers, natural tropical flavors, citric acid, licorice root, orange peel, cinnamon, rose hips, lemongrass, and fruit juice extract, which came from elderberries. And they said that was primarily for the color. So I noticed that the very first ingredient they had on there was hibiscus. But whenever you are blending a tea, typically we're going to look at, if you're blending for health purposes, you're going to look at the primary actions of the herbs, and then you're going to look at a second set of herbs that you may add as secondary actions. And then there are stimulating herbs, and those are the herbs that basically give a boost to your primary herbs that you are using, that helps them to, it stimulates their actions basically. While balancing these blends, you also consider the taste of the different herbs. So tonight, I'm going to do my best effort in recreating this blend. So the first ingredient that they list was hibiscus flowers. So I had some hibiscus in my apothecary, and I am going to use about 4 parts. And well, before I start using parts, let me explain. When you're blending teas, the common method that laymen use for blending teas will be the parts method. And you can use anything for a part. If you're making a small amount of tea, you may use a teaspoon, a tablespoon. If you're making larger batches, you might use a cup as a part. But that is the measurement that I'm going to use tonight. I'm using a teaspoon for a part. So I'm going to use 4 parts hibiscus flowers, 2, 3. Oh, not much got in the spoon that time. 4. And I am blending this for myself, so I am going to use my hands as I break up the hibiscus flowers and talk to you a little bit about that. This herb has an affinity for your cardiovascular system. Particularly, it has been used to help lower blood pressure. Typically for this particular herb, they use the flowers or the calyces. It has some relaxing properties, and it is an antispasmodic. And each herb has different energetics. This herb is considered to be cooling and moistening to the body. The next thing that they had listed on their list was licorice, but that means that would have been the second largest amount of any herb that was listed. And licorice can cause your blood pressure to rise some, especially if you drink it every day, like I like to drink this particular tea. So I didn't choose that as my next or my primary herb, simply because my blood pressure tends to run a little bit high the last couple of years. So therefore, I didn't want to do anything that was going to jeopardize my health. And that is the other thing. When you create your own tea blend, it gives you some control over this, some autonomy over the situation. So lemongrass was one of the herbs that was used, and I really like the taste of lemon. I particularly will squeeze lemon or lime in this particular tea. So I chose lemongrass as my second primary, and I used 3 parts lemongrass. So 1, 2, 3. All right. With lemongrass, when in teas, it is primarily used for digestive issues and also as a fever reducer. It relaxes the muscles of the stomach and the gut, relieving flatulence. Lemongrass is considered warming and drying, and its taste is considered pungent. Then I add rose hips, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about rose hips. With rose hips, we're going to use 2 parts. So I'm going to use 2 teaspoons of rose hips. Rose hips are extremely high in vitamin C. And with that being very high in vitamin C, that means it will give you a boost for your immune system. It is very rich in antioxidants, and it has been shown to reduce inflammation for patients with osteoarthritis. And the taste of rose hips is kind of a tart, maybe even sour. The next ingredient that I used was orange peel. Now, orange peel is considered an aromatic bitter. And I used 1 part of the orange peel. And these are all dried herbs that I'm using. Orange peel is considered to be a warming and a drying herb. And it is also very good for your digestive health. With it being a bitter, it's good for your stomach and that kind of thing. And then the next herb that I had is cinnamon, and I didn't bring that one in here today, but I have some right here on my shelf. Here we go. For the cinnamon, this is also an aromatic herb. I'm going to use 1 part cinnamon. This herb is considered to be a spicy aromatic. It has a little bit of a bite, but not as much as ginger. This herb is a digestive stimulant. It can reduce your blood glucose level, so it helps regulate your blood glucose. Its energetics are considered to be warming and drying and sometimes constricting. Its taste is described as pungent and sweet. And then finally, I use some licorice root. With licorice root, because it does have a tendency to elevate blood pressure. And really and truly, if it's not something that you're drinking every day, you wouldn't have to be as cautious. But this is something that I really enjoy drinking. So for the licorice root, I am going to use a half a part. So instead of a teaspoon, I'm going to use a half a teaspoon. There that is. And as I said earlier, it was the second ingredient. So I imagine that quite a bit goes in the original recipe for the passion tea, but I didn't want to use as much as that. Uh, Licorice can be drying to the mouth, and it is used to help with sore throats. It is used for other bronchial issues. It is also an antispasmodic, and it has an affinity for the heart, stomach, spleen, and lungs. This herb is considered to be cool or warming. Excuse me, cool is not considered cool or warming, but it's more of a neutral herb, and it has a sweet taste. And so I have blended the teas, and as I said, this is just for me, so I'm just using my hands with this. And I just wanted to hold the bowl up to give you a look at how pretty those herbs are. And so basically, after creating this tea blend, you would bring some fresh water to a boil, and then you would take about, if you're doing a cup, you would take at least a teaspoon. I prefer a stronger blend of tea, so I would put about a tablespoon in my cup, cover the herbs with water, cover the top, and let it steep a minimum of 5 to 10 minutes. With herbal teas, you always want to be aware the longer you let it steep, the more of a chance it has to release tannins, and the taste may become bitter. But this is part of my celebration. Some of the other things that I'm going to do is I will be creating me a very aromatic blend. I will make my bath salts and my massage oil. But I haven't shared with you why I'm so happy and excited about celebrating. Uh, just a day or so ago, I accomplished my certification for aromatherapy. So here's my certificate showing that I am now a certified aromatherapist, and I am so very excited to be celebrating this. And I couldn't wait to do my show tonight. I had other things planned, but when I received this, I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday, I received my certificate, and I was like, nope, my show is changing. What I'm going to do will be a celebration, because one of the things that is very important to me is that I keep it 100 on my channel. What I try to do is be real with you. The truth of the matter is I have gone through some ups and downs and some different struggles in my process of getting this certification. There have been things that have come up, just normal life things, and it took a little bit longer than I anticipated that it would. But I have finally reached this milestone, the first of many. And so I just wanted to celebrate. If you have any comments or questions, please, you can leave those in the comments below. I'll be happy, even if it's after the time of the show. Should I receive any comments, I will be more than happy to respond. Thank you so much for tuning in to this channel tonight. And please let me know if you decide to try this tea blend, and let me know how you liked it. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. See you next week.